You're locked down at home. Now what?
You're a voice actor. You're an entrepreneur. You're a VOPRENEUR. Welcome to the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of one. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
The VOPRENEUR podcast. Hey, it doesn't suck.
Not as funny as Conan. Not as cute as Seth Meyers. Not as smart as Colbert. But he's one of us, and that counts for something. Here's Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover. I'm Mark Scott, and for the next little bit, we're going to hang out. We're going to talk about voiceover. We're going to talk about your business, and we're going to talk about what to do while you are quarantined. And this one is meant to be a little bit serious, a little bit fun, and a whole lot productive as far as things are concerned for both your life and your voiceover business. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to remind you that every episode of the podcast is available at VOPRENEUR.com. So you know what? Actually, since we're talking about what to do in quarantine, maybe that should be number one on the list. Go back and listen to all of the previous episodes of the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, including this one. There are 59 episodes that you can go back through and listen to help you grow your business, and that is available at VOPRENEUR.com. So what I want to do today is I want to give you a few different ideas for what to do in quarantine. I know that we're all busy. You know, maybe we're busy on voiceover, but maybe we're also busy on other stuff. Prior to recording this episode today, I learned that although I like to think that I know a lot of things about a lot of things, I don't know anything about grade 6 algebra. That was one of the things that I've been working on in quarantine, helping my wife to do some homeschooling with our kids. And I kind of just realized how much I don't actually know, or at least how much I don't remember. But in between the homeschooling and all of the other stuff that you've got going on right now, here are 15 different things that you can do on quarantine that I think can all provide value to your life and to your voiceover business. And number one on the list is read a book. Now, based on what I'm seeing on Twitter and on Facebook and social media in general, it looks like a lot of people are taking advantage of the quarantine to get caught up on about 1,000 different Netflix shows. That's all well and good, but let me encourage you to take a little bit of that time that you are devoting to Netflix and devote it to reading a book. There is so much to be learned just by reading books. Basically, everything that I've learned about marketing my voiceover business has come from reading books. Everything that I have learned about how to operate a business in general has come from reading books. So why not take this time to sit down and read a book? And I'm going to give you 2 recommendations, and these are the 2 most recent books that I have been reading. Now, the first one is one that I'm I'd say about 70% of the way through at the time of the recording of this podcast, but probably going to have it finished by the weekend. And that is called Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. In the past, you've probably heard me talk about Donald Miller and the Story Brand podcast, which is a really great podcast. Listen to it, by the way. You may have also heard me talk about the book Story Brand by Donald Miller. Well, his latest book, Marketing Made Simple. And that's exactly what it is. As you read through this book, I promise you that you are going to learn things. You are going to have a lot of aha moments, and it's going to make you think differently about the way that you are doing some of your marketing. So that is Marketing Made Simple by Donald Miller. I'll put it in the show notes so that you can refer back to it. And the other book, which is the last one that I finished reading, is called Homeless to Billionaire, 18 Principles for Attracting Wealth. And that is a book by Andreas Pira. And I really enjoyed that one too. So much of success in life, success in business, and in any of these different areas has to do with mindset. And it has to do with the way that we think about things, the way that we approach things, the narratives that we tell ourselves. And what I really enjoyed about Homeless to Billionaire was that it really just challenged some of my narratives. And as much as I have a lot of that stuff under control, it's still something that I need to be reminded of on a regular basis. And so it was a quick and easy read. I really enjoyed that one. It's called Homeless to Billionaire, 18 Principles for Attracting Wealth by Andreas Pira, and I will put that one in the show notes as well. So number 1 on the list, read a book. Number 2 on the list is update your website. So when is the last time you updated your About Me page? This is something that I'm actually guilty of because I haven't updated it in a long time. I think it still talks about the fact that I'm a volunteer firefighter and I've been retired for a few years now. So now is a really great time to just go through every page on your website and figure out what needs to be updated. Not just your About page. What about your studio equipment? Do you have your studio equipment listed on your website? If you don't, you should. I think one of the things that we have learned in the midst of this pandemic is that the home studio is rising to prominence, and people are going to want to know about your studio. They're going to want to know about the equipment that you are working with. So getting that information on your website definitely has value. What about Source Connect? Did you recently add Source Connect to your home studio? You and just about every other voice actor on planet Earth? When you added Source Connect, did you remember to go onto your website and add that to your list of capabilities on your website? What about your voice sampler? Are all of the samples that are on your voice sampler current? Is there anything that you could be adding? Is there any that need to be updated? Maybe some old ones that need to come out, some new ones that need to come in? Have you considered adding a raw studio sample into your player for clients that want to know more about your studio quality and the sound of your home studio? Something that you might want to take into consideration as well. So number 2 on the list, update your website. Number 3 is learn something new. I really want to encourage you to take some of the time that you have right now, while we all have a little extra time because we're quarantined at home, to learn something new. Take a course. Book a coaching session. Many colleges and universities are offering online courses in all sorts of various and assorted subjects right now, and they're doing it for free. Have you checked one of those out? If you're finding yourself with a little extra time on your hands these days, and I think it's safe to say that most of us are, invest that time to produce a return. You could say all you want that Netflix is research, but we both know how much actual truth there is in that statement. So why not take the time to learn something new? Number 4 on the list is create content. People are consuming content like never before. All types of content. How many podcasts have you listened to in the last few weeks? How many blogs have you read in the last few weeks? How many videos have you watched? How much time have you actually spent on YouTube? How many images have you consumed through Facebook and through Instagram? How many articles have you read? How many articles have you shared? How many magazines have you read digital subscriptions of? We are consuming content like crazy right now. If it is being created and it's on a subject that does have an audience, that content is being consumed. So if you have ever thought about creating content before, now is the time to get started. And there's one other thing I want to mention. It doesn't need to be perfect. I make YouTube videos with my iPhone. I don't have a fancy setup. I have a tripod and an iPhone. You already have a studio, so you could make audio content. You could start working on a podcast or coming up with some other creative ideas for ways to use your voice and use your studio. The point is, there is a captive audience out there right now, and you need to figure out ways that you can serve that audience by creating content. Use a service like Canva and create social media graphics. Use a service like Headliner and create some videos. Create content. And I don't just specifically mean creating generalized voiceover content. Think about it a little bit deeper. Take it next level. What's your voiceover sweet spot? What's an area of voiceover that you're really passionate about? What's a niche market that you are currently targeting or you would like to target? Can you create content that is going to appeal to that audience that is going to help you to build your credibility and your reputation? Take advantage of this time. If you've ever thought about doing it, stop making excuses. Just get it done. Number 5 on the list, renovate your kitchen. Actually, I'm just kidding. Don't ever renovate your kitchen. Don't do it. Just put your house up for sale. Go find another house that has a kitchen that you already like and then move into that house. Don't ever renovate your kitchen. I couldn't help it. I had to mention that one. I just had to throw it in there. Those of you that are familiar, you understand my nightmare right now. Number 6 on the list is make video demos. So take advantage of a service like Headliner. Headliner.app is the website. I'll link it in the show notes. Make video versions of your demos. And I'm not just talking about your main demos. I'm saying break those up. So your commercial demo has what, 5, 6, 7 clips in it? Make a video demo for each one of those individual clips. And then you can create social media content from those videos using keywords that are relevant to the type of read. So maybe you have one on there that is your conversational guy next door. Or maybe you have one on there that's your hip mom read. Whatever it is, you create a video with that clip and then you create social media content around it. But be strategic in how you share it. Don't just create that one video and then blast it across all of your social networks at the exact same time. So simultaneously posting it on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Spread it out. Create the video. Post it on LinkedIn one day. Post it on Facebook the next day. Post it on Instagram the day after that. Sometimes post in the morning. Sometimes post in the afternoon. Sometimes post in the evening. The point is that you could take that one piece of content and you could make a week's worth of social media posts just by sharing it strategically. And now think, if you've got 5 demos and each one of them have 6 or 7 clips, you're creating a lot of video content. You could literally make a month's worth of social media posts just from creating those quick, simple videos of your voiceover demos. So check out headliner.app to do that. You can also use a tool like iMovie or Windows Movie Maker if you have it. For those of you that are subscribed to Creative Cloud, Adobe Creative Cloud, you could use Adobe Premiere to do that. I use Final Cut Pro to make some of my videos, so that's another option as well. Number 7 on the list is learn new software. Hey, since we're talking about Adobe and since we're talking about Premiere, maybe now's a really good time to pick up learning some new software. What about your audio editing software? If you're not happy with what you're using, now is a great time to add something new. Speaking of Adobe, they have been offering deals on subscriptions for Creative Cloud. I've seen a lot of posts in some of the voiceover groups that if you call in, they're offering 3 months free for Creative Cloud. And so maybe now is the time to take advantage of that deal. Plus, you're going to get a tax write-off from it because it's a software service that you use for your business. And now you've got the time to learn it properly. If you're going to do Adobe in particular, connect with somebody like Uncle Roy and have him set it up for you. Trust me, it's worth every dime that you're going to spend on it. If you're happy with your audio software, then like I said before, maybe now is the time to learn something like Premiere or Final Cut Pro, or learn how to use Headliner. Learn how to use Canva to make social media graphics. Take advantage of this time right now. Number 8 on the list, start a journal. I don't know about you guys, but when I do have a little bit of quiet downtime, it is when I tend to do my best thinking. But here's the problem with that. The moment that I grab my phone to jot those thoughts down, it's really easy for me to fall down a social media or other rabbit hole. And so all of a sudden, this quiet time that I've been enjoying where I've started having some good thoughts and coming up with some creativity and coming up with some good ideas, then I get distracted. That's where a journal comes in handy. That's where I use my Clever Fox planner. I've been writing down a lot of thoughts. I've been writing down a lot of ideas. And I've also been using the journal as a way to document gratitude. Right now, when we're going through all of this, high stress, high anxiety, high frustration, there's confusion, all of these different emotions, keeping our attitudes in check is more important than ever. And so using that journal as a way to force myself each day to find that one thing to be grateful for has really helped me to keep my attitude in check as we live through quarantine. I think I'm on week 5 now. I don't even remember. It's been so long I can't even keep it straight, but I'm pretty sure we're on week 5 here in Southern Ontario. Number 9 on the list is expense report. Let me just say this right now. There is not going to be one good reason for any of us to be behind on our books when this pandemic does finally come to an end. So get those receipts and get them entered now. And since we're talking about expense reports, if you're trying to figure out what you're going to do for your invoicing, we've talked about learning new things, learning new software. Maybe now is a time when you check out something like Wave Apps to do your invoicing and your bookkeeping. And I will link Wave Apps in the show notes as well. So take this time to get the expense reports done. Number 10 on the list, bake bread. Okay, so actually, I can't do this. Apparently, everybody else on the interwebs can do this, but I can't do this because, no word of a lie, for 5 weeks, I have been unable to purchase flour or yeast. Somehow everybody else is getting it, but I can't seem to find it. It's probably just as well. I mean, my wife and my youngest are celiac, they're gluten-free, so I have a hard enough time finding gluten-free flour under regular circumstances, let alone under pandemic circumstances. But do I really need the carbs anyway? I mean, really, do I? But you've noticed this, haven't you? You've noticed all of those people that are in your Facebook feed that are baking bread like crazy. Chris Tom, I'm talking about you, buddy. Number 11 on the list, handwritten notes and cards. This is something that my kids actually inspired me to. My wife has a Cricut machine, does all kinds of fancy stuff with her Cricut machine. And last week for, arts and craft time in homeschooling, they sat down, my 2 girls sat down with my wife, and they started making cards for a bunch of different family members. A lot of my wife's family is actually about 9 hours away, and obviously we can't see them right now. And so they were making cards for their grandma and for their cousins and for some of their aunts and uncles and different things like that. And I was inspired by that. Like, when is the last time you sat down and you made a card or you sent somebody an actual card? I'm not talking about an e-card. I'm not talking about texting. I'm talking about an actual card. We can't visit with each other. We can't go for coffee with each other. There are no in-person networking events happening right now. Why not take this time in quarantine to handwrite some notes or postcards and drop those in the mail for some of your colleagues? There's something to be said about getting that actual piece of mail in the mail. And interestingly enough, when I went to the post office to mail all of these cards that my wife and my daughters had made, they mentioned the fact that they had seen a huge uptick in the amount of old school mail that was being sent. So maybe now's a good time to do it. Write some handwritten notes and cards for some of your clients, some of your prospects maybe. Throw in some family, some friends, some colleagues while you're at it. Number 12 is clean the studio. I am inspired to this one because prior to recording this, literally 20 minutes ago prior to recording this, my wife and my oldest were upstairs vacuuming like crazy, and I had to wait for them to finish vacuuming until I could actually record because it was a little bit loud. But it got me thinking about, when's the last time I really cleaned my studio? Clutter is chaos. Clutter is distraction. Clutter kills the positive vibes. When is the last time you deep cleaned your studio? I'm talking like wipe down the keyboard, the microphone stand, the monitors, the mouse, all of that sort of stuff, really cleaned it. But then also, when is the last time you organized your studio? How many stacks of papers do you have sitting on your desk right now? Or how many stacks of books do you have piled in different places? When is the last time you really went through and cleaned and organized your studio? And I can say this as well. There's something very therapeutic about a paper shredder. I know that some of you are shaking your head right now. I know some of you agree with me on that one. But taking the time to clean and organize the studio just makes the space so much more welcoming, so much more inviting. To me, it makes it more creative and more productive. And that is definitely a good thing. Number 13 on the list, sign up for social. Pick one of the platforms that you've been avoiding. Or maybe one that you started an account but never did anything with. And then go do something with it. Learn the ins and outs of how the platform works. Start building a network strategically. Plot out some content ideas. Find some friends. Find some leads. Make it work for you. If you've been saying, one of these days I'm going to get to LinkedIn, or someday I'm going to learn how to use Instagram, or maybe one day I'll finally get around to figuring out Twitter. Let me tell you something. Someday is here. Finally. Take the time to do something productive with it. Spend some time on social. Number 14 on the list, Zoom workouts. I know that a lot of people right now are missing the social interaction. It's one of the reasons why I love doing Free Advice Friday, giving people a chance to hang out together for a little while. So maybe you're part of a voiceover meetup group and you haven't been able to meet up. Maybe you're an extrovert who is trapped at home and you're really starting to go crazy right now. Get connected with a few colleagues in the industry and schedule a fun workout meeting via Zoom. You can use it for free for up to 40 minutes. Or maybe you know somebody that has an account, or maybe you have an account, but there's definitely ways to do it. But just get together and schedule an hour. It gives you a little bit of social interaction. It's a good way to boost your spirits. You're going to be on camera, so it forces you to actually, comb your hair and brush your teeth and get out of your pajamas, which is a good thing in the middle of all of this. But it's also going to give you a good opportunity to get a little bit of practice in and get a little bit of feedback from your peers. I know that if you are part of the VoiceOver Marketing Playbook, for example, if you threw up a post like that in the Playbook group, you'd probably find some people who are interested. If you're part of the VOPRENEUR group, I'm guessing if we threw a post up in the VOPRENEUR group, probably find some people who are interested that would want to do something like that, if for no other reason than just to have a little bit of social interaction. We're all missing the fact that we didn't get to go to VO Atlanta this year. Might be a good way to hang out with some friends. So think about doing a Zoom workout. Last on the list, and saved for last for a reason, number 15, do something scary. I want you to stay with me for this, just for a minute. The coronavirus and the chaos that has resulted from it, it's been scary for a lot of people. But I think by now, most of us have realized that as uncertain and as scared as we may have been in the beginning, there was a lot of things that we didn't know. There was a lot that we didn't understand. We didn't know about how the virus would spread, and we didn't know whether we were going to get infected. We didn't know what was going to happen in our communities and all of that sort of stuff. But I think now, for a lot of us, we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. There's more information. There's more data. It's allowed epidemiologists and scientists to do more modeling. Governments are starting to figure out plans and starting to talk about what it might look like when we're ready to restart the economy and things of that nature. So all of that fear, I hope for you guys, I know for me, is starting to turn into hope. We're going to come out on the other side of this and we're going to be okay. So this thing that was really scary in the beginning, we've got through it. We're getting through it. How can you apply this lesson to your voiceover business? What's something scary in your business that you've been avoiding? Is it a particular coach that you didn't want to work with because you're afraid they're going to put you through their paces? Or is it a particular demo that you'd really, really love to do, but you're just not sure if you're good enough? Is there a particular lead, a particular company, a particular person that you've been wanting to reach out to, that you've been wanting to try to get connected with and start to build a relationship to hopefully maybe one day do voiceover for, but you just haven't done it because you've been letting that fear hold you back? What is that area of your business that you've been too scared to try? Take a little bit of inspiration from this whole coronavirus situation. I mean, what's the point if we can't find something good in all of this, right? Something scary, but we're coming out on the other side. Let this quarantine experience give you the courage to do that scary thing in your business. Whatever it is, just go for it. You got nothing to lose. Every episode of the podcast is available at VOPreneur.com. You can go back through and you can listen to 58 other episodes covering a wide range of topics on business and marketing. That's what this podcast is all about, helping you to become a VOpreneur. Go check it out at VOPreneur.com. While you're there, make sure you click on the shop button and pick up a t-shirt, pick up a hoodie. Represent voiceover, represent VOpreneur. Use it as a marketing tool. You'll also find all of the show notes for this episode at VOPreneur.com when you click onto the episode. So head to the website, click on the episode, get everything that you need to know, some of the different things, the books that I've talked about, some links that I've shared and whatnot. Everything you need to know is there. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of the podcast. I'll catch you on the next one.
The Everyday VOpreneur Podcast. Available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Mostly, we think.
Your number one marketing tool is your voiceover demos. When you're posting them online, you want to be sure they're playable on any device and with any browser. The VoiceZam player does exactly that. Sign up at msvo.me/msvoicezam and receive 3 months of VoiceZam for the price of 1. Sign up now at msvo.me/msvoicezam.
And see.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for hanging out. Want more VOpreneur goodness? Jump online at VOpreneur.com.